I'm not ready for this. So here goes nothing. The finger point is the telekinetic link between you and your saw that keeps your saw going straight. If it's inside and it's curved, you're definitely going to curve offline. Use your bench for the initial setup on your blade. The tap on the wedge and the blade will be just enough to get it to engage.
The mist colors at the home center make great green ingrain sealers.
The end hook on a tape measure is loose to allow for the thickness of that blade, whether somebody's pushing it against something or pulling against it. Either way, it's not very accurate. If you want your most accurate measurement, it's best to line up the inch here and the inch on the end. 2 nails into a straight board is all you need to make any kind of angle shooting board you want.
No. Just no.
Leather pads on your bench hook prevent marring your work. Rubber pads under your bench's feet act like sneakers and prevent it from sliding around.
Cracked trash boards that have a pith in the middle are also perfectly quarter sawn.
Adding a copper dowel to your leg vise sure makes it look better and it slides easier. Round over the tip of your spear point marking knife and do not sharpen it too much, because you'll get a slightly better line with the rougher edge, and rounding over the tip gives you control and reduces the chance the metal will break off in the wood. Sandpaper erasers work just as well on a hook and loop as they do your belt sanders. To gain control with your turning gouges, turn away the heel. To smooth out bruising, round it over. To gain stability, leave it long.
Still cool to the touch? Just keep walking. You can deal with cups and bows, but run away from twist.
Having a slightly radiused blade on your smoothers oftentimes will give a smoother sensation to the fingers, because we will not feel the undulations, but we will feel any slight ridges left by a straight blade. And if you ever need a lower angle blade, well, if you just skew the plane a little bit, it accomplishes the same thing. Simply green or soapy water does a better job of swarfing away the slurry because it breaks water adhesion, allowing the liquid to get farther into the grits. A little extra finger pressure on either side is all you need to add a nice radius to your smoothing planes. A block plane is a lot more comfortable than a number 3 smoother. Only sign your absolutely, truly best work. That way future historians will think you are a true master. Always use a brush to clear away the shavings, because you never know what might be hiding underneath it all. To short boards, a smoother might as well be a jointer. Who says boards have to be at perfect 90 degrees to be jointed? Sandpaper's like socks in the dryer. The one you're looking for has always gone missing, but you gotta hunt it down as if you're Liam Neeson, or else feel the shame of the scratches you find whenever you apply finish. Also, Velcro stapled on the wall. Cool. Magnets, people! Magnets! The parking lot's just another word for shop annex. Angling small pieces through your thickness planer gives you curlicues, almost as if you were getting a skew cut. The leaf blower is the best shop cleaning device ever invented. If you don't have oxygen, a quick shot of computer dust stuff will create a layer of non-oxygen right above the finish to help it last a little longer. Try not to put a chisel or gouge or anything like that in the center of your palm and then start pushing with it, because that's where all your nerves are and you can cause some serious damage. It's better just to hold it and use a mallet. You can turn a chisel into a scraper simply by adding a burr to the end. It makes dealing with hard grain a lot easier if you can use a two-handed scraper. A tungsten burnisher will make you feel like Superman, able to bend even the most modern of steels. A modern handsaw is an engineering marvel with handles designed to fit your hand perfectly and add functionality. such as being able to lighten the load by simply squeezing your middle finger. It makes starting a cut a lot easier. A lot of turning tools such as this parting gouge do not require you to reset the platform every time you need to sharpen it. Just start on the bottom of it and bring it down until you see sparks coming over the top. You'll have a nice edge. Sharpening your chisels a lot on a stroke will maintain the edge a lot longer and make them a lot more useful than sharpening them a whole bunch on the stones every now and then. When learning any type of new skill, really focus on keeping your body alignment in check, joints going the right way. Trust me, as you get older, your ligaments will thank you for it. If tapping was good enough for cavemen, then it's good enough for us woodworkers. And honestly, I haven't found a better plane adjuster than one of these cheap rubber and hard side mallets. You use the rubber on the wood and the hard side on the blade. Wax! Makes everything better. To reduce blade drift as much as possible, center your gullets on the top of the crown of your wheel instead of the center of the blade. Because if you put the center of the blade on the top of the gullet, it has a tendency to rock both front and back. If you put the gullets on it, only the back's going to rock. So the back can follow the curve wherever you want, and you'll get a lot straighter cuts that way. If you're in the front, you have to adjust the curve for the drift, and the drift might change depending on how the teeth get bent. If your jigs are a bit off, blue tape to the rescue. You can do 1/10 of a degree each time. This one right here, it was just a tad bit loose and a tad bit too far over. So I just shaved a little bit on one side, added blue tape to the other. Short fingernails make sawing exactly on the knife line a lot harder because you can't drop them in the knife line. Ah! An extra slice of pizza will make your body clamp a lot more efficient. Make your own zero clearance track saw by simply screwing on a straight edge to a thin piece of plywood and sawing it off for a perfect clearance. Stools make a great work surface for sheet goods. Just picture a piece of plywood here. Rotating the pencil a little bit after each pass will keep your tip sharp. Hey, I didn't say these would all be gems. When you use tape as your depth marker, fold over the tape so it makes a little flag. That way when you get close to your depth, it'll knock the sawdust away. I've learned the hard way that an inch is not always an inch. Be sure and check your rulers, because a lot of times if you get rulers made overseas or for a different market, the inch is slightly different. Now, I learned that the hard way by buying stuff at Harbor Freight. If you don't have a Wolverine set, you can still get a nice fingernail grind on your gouges by simply concentrating and drawing a U. Half-pline dovetails will hide the through groove you cut for the bottom. Wall tool storage is actually better than a toolbox because you can actually find your chopsticks are good for. Spread glue with them. Nice square section for that. You can mix up epoxies and chemicals really, really well. You can even plug holes with them. And they're also great for cleaning out your ears. Pegs are a nice way to get long-grain glue adhesion on a through dado. Because the scroll saw's teeth are always set to one side, it will always have drift at an angle. Use a pencil line to determine which direction the drift will go to so you can saw straight lines time and time again. Hollow grind your chisels on the coarsest stone you got. Mine's a 36. the less the grit, the less friction there is, the less heat's built up. And you really don't care what it looks like in the middle, you just care if it's shiny on the top and bottom. A light tap on your bench is usually all you need to clean out your rasp. But if you need more, grab a shoe shine brush. Never use a brass or plastic wheel. If you accidentally cut yourself, a repurposed mustard bottle with hydrogen peroxide in it will allow you one-handed clean it out. Ow! Need an instant jam chuck? Use a tennis ball. Need to find the perfect center of a board? Just set up a ruler on 2 even numbers and divide them by half. 2 minus 10 is 8, so 4 down from 10 is 6, so there is my center of the board. Stay organized by storing your small offcuts in the trash bin. Just be sure to take it to the dumpster at the end of the day. Wheels are a small shop's best friend. Get yourself a roll of Velcro straps and then write a letter to NASA thanking them for inventing it, because you're going to use this stuff everywhere. For short-term storage, shrink wrap does wonders for green wood. Just understand if you leave it more than a week, it is going to start molding. You can use the carpenter's square to rough out a perfect 45 on the bandsaw. Safety is important, but so is getting the job done. Poplar looks just as good as cherry if you're going to paint it. Don't waste your money on high-end woods if you're just going to cover them up. Also, you can use car wax and a buffer on painted surfaces. These Taiwanese thread boxes are just wonderful little devices, if and only if you re-harden the blades. From the factory, they're way too hard and they'll break on you. I mark all my metal tools with permanent markers for their settings. If I ever need to change it, a little denatured alcohol will take it right off. You don't need a full set of chisels to start woodworking. I've had this set for 3 years. Can you tell which one I use 99% of the time? I'll give you a hint. Only one's mushroomed on top. It's a 1/2 inch. Ah! Don't ever try and catch a falling tool! No, just kidding. Use bastard grain on chair legs so that you'll get straight grain all the way around. And if possible, orient it so that as the board shrinks, because these grain rings are going to want to straighten out, it'll shrink kind of like that. You want the tenons to close up on the edges. The first 1/8 of an inch of most modern mid-priced chisels is not going to be representative of the quality of down here the steel. Because of the grinding process, it heats this up a little bit so you lose a little bit of the annealing. It's probably going to be a tad bit softer than down here. You'll get to the good stuff after you learn to sharpen it. The hole for brass screws must originate with a steel one, and I recommend you also use a little wax on the tip. Start them young. The pith is where cracks start in green wood, so if you're drying your own, get it out of there! Though it does burn well. The first inch of most inexpensive rulers is off a little bit. It's mainly from the manufacturing process because they start stamping it a little bit too close to the edge, or they grind it off. Either way, it's short. So if you want most accuracy, start with a number 1 and go out that way. 2 fingers make a great fist if you're trying to cut a straight line. Your first coat of shellac should be a wash coat, basically a 1-pound cut of shellac. I get there by using the Zinsser seal coat, which I believe is a 2-pound cut, and I just fill half of my bottle with that and half of it with denatured alcohol. Then the next coat has my 2-pound cut, and I use this most of the time. And sometimes if I want a little bit heavier, I'll go through with a 3-pound cut, which I believe is Zinsser shellac. Squealing like a girl and doing bad dance moves will prevent a drop chisel from bouncing off the ground and into your femoral artery. The wood doesn't care if you get your chisel sharpened to a perfect 27.5 degrees every single time. Just sharpen them and get back to work. If you're having trouble freehand sawing a straight line on the bandsaw, just focus on keeping the curve in the bandsaw blade's shadow. Wrenches make perfect sizing gauges on the lathe. Sometimes, with the cost of paint, the time it takes to paint it, to do multiple coats, to lay on the shellac, to lay on the wax, to pull out the car buffer and put carnauba wax on it and get it a nice satin sheen, you spent more time and money putting paint on than it would have been just to use nicer wood. A bit with spurs on its side is actually designed to go backwards first in order to score the hole. That way it can get a nice clean entry. Make your life easier. Chuck up your drills with a hook. Makes for easy storage. 2 weeks after you finish a project, you won't remember where the gaps are, so don't stress about it now. A benchtop moccasin can also be used for longboards. For fine detail work, just flip your plane upside down. With either an English or Japanese saw, if you need to reset the line, just drop the handle and realign it. These things are so slow. A death grip at the lathe usually means something bad's about to happen. Just relax. Go with the flow. And if you do get a catch, it'll be a lot less dramatic if you aren't having that death grip fighting it all the way. Well, there you go. 100 woodworking tips and tricks. Some of them great, some of them so-so, some of them kind of lame. But there was 100 of them. Yeah, I promised you 101. The last one, remember, it's always worth the effort to learn, create, and share with others. Y'all be safe and have fun.